We're already into the 13th game week of the Premier League season. We're over a third of the way through this season, and if I told you my predictions record so far, it would make a new viewer think I have the prediction ability of an onion. And regular viewers of this channel will know I do have the prediction skills of an onion, and that's a little bit unfair on the onion. If you clicked on this video for some good footballing takes, well, you'd be right. I get the odd thing right. But if you clicked on this video for a bit of comedy, you would be right, because if you come back to this video in 2 or 3 days' time when the game week is over, you will just be wondering, how does this person nearly have 3,000 subscribers? If you want to help me get to 3,000 subscribers, make sure to subscribe. It would help me out a lot, and if you do enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like. Nottingham Forest versus Liverpool, and it looks like Darwin Núñez is finally setting in at Liverpool. In his last 3 starts, he scored 3 goals. It looks like Núñez is finally settling in England, bar the fact, he can't speak the language. When Mo Salah asks for a pass, Núñez doesn't have a clue what he's saying. So, once he can speak English, I feel like his all-round awareness will definitely improve. Nottingham Forest do have the home advantage in this game, but the fact they're terrible also plays into account. The Liverpool are going to win this game 3-0 thanks to 2 goals from Darwin Núñez and 1 from Mo Salah. Everton versus Crystal Palace. I really can't make my mind up on Everton. While in some games they've showed a lot of quality, other games they've just been terrible. As things stand, they're currently 15th. I'm recording this video before Aston Villa play Fulham tonight. There's no doubt their backline has definitely improved. They're not quite letting in as much goals as they did last season. I think Tarkowski and Conor Cody, brilliant signings, but they just don't seem to be able to score goals. You'd expect Calvert-Lewin to be in fantastic form. I know he's only just coming back from injury, but he's fighting for a World Cup spot. You reckon he'd be giving his all, but he's just not been on it. Good performance from Crystal Palace at midweek. I thought their front four linked up brilliantly, and I think they're going to continue this form again, with Everton struggling to score and letting in 1 goal and a 1-0 win for Crystal Palace. Man City versus Brighton. Manchester City did not play in midweek because the game versus Arsenal was postponed. That didn't apply to my head when it came to fantasy football, despite the fact I addressed it in my last Premier League predictions video. There I sat with 3 Manchester City players in my team: Cancelo, De Bruyne and Haaland. Did not apply to me that they weren't playing midweek. Left it in, thought that was good, and well, all 0. So personally, I know Haaland, De Bruyne and Cancelo, you're all watching this video. I personally feel you owe me a performance this weekend. You're going to win this game 5-0. Thanks to a brace from Kevin De Bruyne, 1 from João Cancelo and a brace for Erling Haaland. And of course, this prediction is not based on my fantasy team at all. Chelsea versus Man United, the biggest Premier League game of this weekend. Eric Ten Hag beat Antonio Conte midweek with a 2-0 win versus Spurs. It was a good performance, but to be fair, Spurs were just terrible. During that game, Cristiano Ronaldo was on the bench and was spotted going down the tunnel before the match had even ended. I could sit here and tell you he's an embarrassment, but in all fairness, he asked to leave this summer. Ten Hag told him he's a part of the plans, but he just wasn't. If it was a 20-year-old kid like Anthony Elanga, for example, I would be giving out because they have time, but it's Cristiano Ronaldo. He doesn't have the time. Ronaldo is one of the greatest to ever play the game, arguably the greatest for some. So he can't spend his last couple of years as a professional footballer sitting beside Anthony Martial on the bench. Right, but moving away from the whole Ronaldo situation and on to the match, I reckon this is going to be a 2-1 win for Chelsea. Mount and Aubameyang will score for the London club, while Anthony will bag for Man United. Aston Villa versus Brentford. I always seem to get Brentford predictions wrong, but I would be amazed if Aston Villa managed to win this match. They're just terrible. I give out about Steven Gerrard every single week, but in all fairness, you look at that squad, should they really be 16th in the Premier League table? Aston Villa are struggling for goals. Danny Ings has previously scored over 20 goals in the Premier League. Ollie Watkins had a few good seasons under Dean Smith. Leon Bailey had brilliant seasons in the Bundesliga. Felipe Coutinho was once valued at €140 million. How can Steven Gerrard get none of these players to score? Despite the fact Aston Villa play this match at home, I highly doubt Aston Villa fans will get behind their team, and especially their manager at this current stage. So Brentford are going to win this game 2-0 thanks to goals from Ivan Toney and Webu. Leeds versus Fulham. Both of these teams so far this season have surpassed most people's expectations. While I think Leeds have been a little bit inconsistent, for the most part they have been good, and Fulham have definitely surprised expectations. Most people saying they'll get relegated, but to be fair, they've played some good football and they're getting relatively good results. Seeing as both teams are playing relatively good, and it is a tough call to make, I'm just going to go boring and say it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Andres Pereira will put Fulham 1-0 up, and then Liam Cooper will get the equaliser for Leeds. Southampton versus Arsenal, and for the last couple of weeks I've told you that Southampton are terrible. I've told you Ralph Hasenhüttl is a terrible manager and he has to be sacked. But this fixture, Arsenal versus Southampton, this has Arsenal slip up written all over it. Arsenal are now top of the league by 4 points. They're getting a little bit too comfy. I reckon they'll get a little bit too confident and they're going to draw this game. It's going to be a frustrating evening for Arsenal. Che Adams will give Southampton the lead early on, and Arsenal will chase the match for the rest of the game. They will eventually find their equaliser thanks to Gabriel Jesus, but it won't be enough to get all 3 points, and the game will finish a 1-1 draw. Wolves versus Leicester, and as things stand, Wolves have still not found a manager. It looks like they're going to get the QPR boss, and well, they really went from Sevilla's manager to QPR's. Leicester could also do with a new manager, though as I speak, they're currently beating Leeds thanks to a dodgy own goal. But let's be honest, the results haven't been good enough. The football is dreadful, and I think Leicester's owners are being a little bit too loyal towards Rodgers. I think Wolves are going to win this game 1-0 thanks to a goal from Diego Costa, who I continuously pick to score a goal every single week, and every single week he disappoints me, but this week will be the week he scores. Spurs versus Newcastle, and like I already said, played Spurs, lost to Man United, and they were just absolutely awful. While Newcastle played Everton and they put in a resilient defensive performance and they were fantastic. I've already went controversial once saying Arsenal will draw with Southampton. North London really isn't going to be liking me after this video because I'm going to say Spurs are going to lose to Newcastle. In this day and age, is it really that much of an upset Newcastle beating Spurs because they've been brilliant in 2022? On their day, Spurs are the better football team and the game is home. I don't care. Newcastle are going to win this game 1-0 thanks to a goal from Miguel Almiron, who's been brilliant this season. West Ham versus Bournemouth, and somehow 13 game weeks into the Premier League season, Bournemouth are closer to the top of the table than West Ham, who were in the Europa League semi-finals last year. West Ham started the season off dreadfully. They've improved of late, a decent performance versus Liverpool despite the fact they lost. But they're not getting Europe. That start of the season has already lost them out on Europe because the likes of Newcastle have already gotten a head start. So if I'm David Moyes, I'm obviously going to put a little bit of effort into the Premier League. I want to comfortably stay in the league. But to be honest, if I were him, I'd focus on winning the Conference League because that's really West Ham's only form of getting European football next season. I've made some bold predictions so far in this video, so I'm going to finish Game Week 13 predictions off with a terrible prediction, a boring prediction. This game is going to finish a 0-0 draw. So, that was my Game Week 13 Premier League predictions. Let me know your Game Week 13 Premier League predictions in the comments. Let me know what you thought of mine. In this video, I went boring, I went controversial. It was a good little mix. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like the video if you did enjoy, subscribe if you're new, share it to a friend, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.